All right, so I've just been privy to a little bit of a hands-on demo of Sword Coast Legends here, and I think that it seems the focus of your E3 here is to show off the campaign creation tools, something that's really, really unique. Oh, I'll let you talk about it. So the campaign creation tool is really a key part of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that people have been waiting for a long time, is that campaign creation and the ability to sort of create their entire adventure from scratch. And we're really happy to be finally showing it, so players can create their own monsters, they can create their own levels, create their own dungeons to explore, and their own NPCs, and of course tell their own stories.
And this is really something that's at the heart of what this world is all about originally, that the ability to sort of use your creative skills to sort of create an adventure for other people to enjoy, right?
Oh, absolutely. I started playing D&D when I was 11 years old, and it was all about that imagination and telling stories with my friends, and that's really the magic that we wanted to recapture, because we're still playing, years later, all still playing D&D, and we wanted to bring it to the digital medium in a really true to the form way.
So, one thing is sort of you're always at the mercy of how good a DM is, but of course, as game developers, I'm sure you want to sort of make sure that you enhance any skills of the DM to make sure that that the adventure is as good as possible. Sort of how do you sort of do that?
Well, I think we've implemented a lot of things underneath the hood that prevent DMs from, say, populating one room with 1,000 monsters, but we've also simplified the interface for them, so that getting in there and telling stories in real time and dropping in objects and spawning creatures and really sort of adding new areas to explore on the map and hiding those areas and opening them up to the player. They're very, very fluid and easy to access, allowing, I think, inexperienced DMs to get in there right away and start doing fun things. And again, it's all about that shared experience. And you see, playing here, there's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of people that are enjoying some of the silly things the DMs are doing. And that's really the heart of it, right? Having fun with your friends.
And I suppose what we're getting here is just a brief glimpse, it's the brief demo. There's a lot of depth to this as well, and players can really go nuts with creating their own sort of backstories and lore to sort of go with it.
Yeah, honestly, one of the hardest parts about doing this demo was getting the actual demonstration of campaign mode into 10 minutes, because especially with Tim, he was decorating rooms for hours, and I'm like, you got to stop. We can't, and he's having so much fun. He had one forest entirely carpeted, with lamps all over the place. I mean, it is really fun to use, and you get lost in it very quickly.
And that I guess that's also part of it. It needs to be fun while you set it up, because that's sort of the lure of it. Otherwise, we will all just be adventurers.
Yes. Exactly. And I mean, it's interesting, having been a DM for many years on the table, it's really exciting to have your players do something you totally didn't expect and then have to go in a different direction. And I think the real-time tools that we have allow them to adapt the story, the DMs to adapt that story. And there hasn't been one single demo today, that hands-on demo, where it hasn't gone completely different, not just with what the players chose, but what the DMs have chose.
Yeah, because that's an interesting thing as well, because it's not really about sort of creating this static adventure for someone to. You're actually in there. You're shaping it as you go, and you're even controlling enemies, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some really funny stuff. I saw one of the players playing DM put Gwen, the vendor that we created, put them in the scene because they thought the player was going to be out of potions, and they thought it'd be nice to have a potion vendor in the middle of the dungeon. So then they set up a little camp there and a little tent and a little fire and everything. And then when the players didn't purchase anything from Gwen, they just ran right by. They aggroed them and turned them into an enemy, and Gwen went off and chased them, and they had to kill the vendor, which is fun. And that sort of emerging gameplay, I think, and that's what D&D is all about, is those stories that you share together.
Setting up traps, setting up possible ambushes, it's all about that. But one of the nice things about this game is just that it's not just about sort of putting it to the player, it's about sort of crafting a meaningful adventure, which is not always about challenging the player as much as possible.
Oh no, absolutely. It's about telling the story, and it's about that interaction with the story. It's, again, that shared storytelling experience. So it's not just the DM creating, oh, here's the story. No, this is a story you're going to participate in. And this story could go in many different directions depending on what you do as players. And anybody who's played on the table knows that happens almost 100% of the time.
So we've talked a lot about the campaign creation here, but sort of on the whole, where are you at in development right now? What's going on? Where are you at with the project?
We're getting very, very close. We're heading to PC September 8th, PC, Mac, and Linux, and we'll be on consoles later in the year. So we're getting very close. Going to be a busy summer for us, but we're excited to get this in players' hands.
And apart from this, there's also this grand adventure, of course, that you're partaking in, and there you create a lot of custom content for that as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that part of the game as well?
Yeah, the story campaign is you're able to play it alone or with 3 other players, so 4-player co-op if you want to do that. And it's a big story. It's a really big story, and we really leaned heavily on the legacy of Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter and Icewind Dale and all of those great D&D RPGs. And you can expect a very, very significant meaty campaign. And all the content that we created for that campaign is available to Dungeon Masters to play and to create their own adventures with.
Could you touch on the cooperation here with Wizards of the Coast and sort of how you sort of collaborate with them and the content that you're bringing in?
Absolutely. Wizards of the Coast, we've worked very closely with them right from the start, and making sure we had a faithful adaptation of 5th edition. We were working from the 5th edition rule set long before it was even released. We were working on early iterations on all the monsters and creatures, and really ensuring that we had a very faithful adaptation, and also weaving in the IP and the stories that we're telling into their greater storytelling experience as well too, so that people that play D&D on the table or read the novels or play our game will feel connected. Not repeating the same stuff, but very connected.
All right. I'd like to thank you so much for your time. Pleasure talking to you.
Yes, always a pleasure. Good to see you again. Thank you.